Okay, I'm back. If you were on my last live, I had to bounce. I apologize. I had to take a phone call that was important. Now I'm back, so I can definitely go live and answer your questions. If you are just joining me, my name is Alexandra. I'm founder of Life with Herpes. I have been living with herpes for 2 decades. So I've been living with it for a very long time, and been living with it, learning to deal with it, and learning to support other people living with herpes and how we navigate all of that. So there were some questions that I read through them. I'm trying to remember what I had most recently read on the last live while I'm waiting for you guys to join back. If you've not been on a live before, definitely ask your herpes questions. I do get hundreds of questions, so it does take a while for me to get through them. I do my best to answer them. If you've not been on a live before, ask your questions. So if you've been on a live before, you know it gets kind of crowded. So definitely ask your questions for herpes. I was talking a little bit about pregnancy. I've been asked recently a lot about living with pregnancy, how you live with herpes pregnancy. I remember my last question. It was disclosing. How do you disclose? When do you disclose? What's the best way to disclose? Also, guys, thank you for the hearts. I love the hearts, so I appreciate the hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So as far as disclosing, some people believe that you should disclose up front. Some people believe you should disclose later on. Some people think you should disclose via text. Some people think you should disclose via in person. So lots of different points of view, a lot of different pros and cons to all this. So my thing is, you don't need to disclose unless you're going to expose. Hold on, I'm just putting some chapstick on. My lips are super chapped. So what does that mean? You don't need to disclose until you're ready to expose. So what that means is, if you're not going to expose the partner to a herpes outbreak, then you're not going to expose them to the area, then there's no reason to expose. What that means is you can go on dates. If you're not going to be intimate with the person, or you're not going to come in contact with that area, with that person, there's no reason to disclose you have herpes, right? Now, once you are ready to be intimate with that person, once you feel the relationship is going to the next level, once you feel that there's been some vulnerability, vulnerable type of conversations you've shared, the partner shared, back and forth, things like that, and you feel like, hey, this is time, then that's wonderful. So my personal take is there's no reason to disclose until you are sure you want to be intimate with that person. There's a lot of other people that disagree with me and say, hey, I don't want to waste anyone's time. I want to be upfront. I want to know if this person is down with it or not down with it. As far as disclosing, some people prefer to disclose via text because they're like, I have a paper trail. Other people, in my opinion, I think it's always best to disclose in person, especially if this is someone that you're expecting to have a longer term relationship with. This should be your easiest, hardest conversation that you have with your partner. So as you know, in relationships, there's going to be a lot of tough questions. There's going to be a lot of difficult things. This should be your easiest, hardest conversation that you have with your partner regarding anything. Herpes should be the least important conversation you have. Least important conversation, if that makes sense. Guys, thank you for the hearts. I love seeing the hearts. If you have herpes, you know someone that has herpes, definitely share this information with them. I am doing this. I am going live in order to support the community. I have been living with herpes for 2 decades. I was diagnosed with genital herpes in 2011. I was diagnosed with oral herpes in 2003. So I've been living with this for a very, very, very long time. And it's the ability to share what I have learned in order to help support people. You say it does not make sense. What doesn't make sense, Aaron? How long did it take for results, and did you get swab or blood? I got both. My swab came back positive, and then eventually my blood came back positive. So my IgG was negative, but my IgM was positive, and then my swab was positive when I got diagnosed. I look good though. Thanks. I look good for having herpes. Is that what you're saying? Like, even though I kind of like a butterface. So do I get bumps on my arm? No, I don't. So I have herpes orally. I have it around my mouth. I also have it genitally around my genitals, or in that area. So I don't have it on my arms. Can you get herpes on your arms? You can. You have to be infected there. It's not going to like jump from your mouth to your arm, right? So perfect example of how you could get herpes on your arm is, let's say, I'm going to use the example of I'm a mom. So let's say I have an active outbreak. Let's say I have an active cold sore on my mouth. Let's say my little boy falls down and scratches his arm and he goes, "Mommy, kiss my owie." And say he has an open wound and I have an active sore. I kiss his owie, I could potentially transmit it to his arm. So it's not going to necessarily like jump there. It would have to be infected there, if that makes any sense. I'm just going through. How did I get it? So I got HSV1. I went on a date and my date kissed me. So I went on a date, came home from my date. I was 20 years old. He drops me off at my parents' door. It was over Christmas break. And yeah, I was home from college and he kisses me and he had an active cold sore. I like kind of like went back like, "Oh, no, no, no." And he had an active cold sore. And then I ended up with it a few days later. So that was how I got oral herpes. Genital herpes, I was 28. I was dating someone that I knew, that I trusted, that I had been in a relationship for a very, very long time. And we became intimate. We had the conversation about being, about STDs. He said he was tested. He said everything was clear. And so we went forward with that. And he turns out his STD results were negative for everything. However, he was never tested for herpes. So he was never tested for herpes, so he didn't know he had it. So yeah, that's how I got it. We have all these things we have all these like misconceptions that like, oh, you have herpes because you're promiscuous. Oh, you have herpes because of a deviant lifestyle. Oh, you have herpes because you were cheated on. Oh, you have herpes because yada, 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 yada. And the truth is, we all have herpes. It's because we had skin-to-skin contact with somebody. I was kissed, I kissed someone, and I was intimate with someone. Period, the end. All my decisions, I have to say that the kiss I wasn't ready for. I wasn't in that, like, it was our first kiss, and I wasn't ready for it. And that was still a really big deal at 20. Like, I hadn't kissed that many people. It'd still be a big deal to kiss someone, even at 40. But I wasn't ready for the kiss. But here's the thing, I take responsibility for my actions, all right? So I take responsibility for going on the date. I take responsibility for dating the guy that I got herpes from. I take all those responsibilities. Those are my choices, my decisions. How long did it take for me to get the results back when I was initially diagnosed with herpes? So I went in on it. So I don't remember HSV1, but HSV2, I went in on a Tuesday and I got the results back Friday. When did you experience symptoms after you were infected? So you don't actually know like the infection date. So actually, let me go back up. HSV1, it's 20 years ago, guys. So I'm trying to go back. I mean, I remember my little cute outfit, my little like hip hugger, like low rise jeans, because this was in 2003, which were low rise, like your tailbone showed. I kissed him, or he kissed me with an active cold sore, whatever you want to call it, probably on a Saturday. And I would say that week I had my first outbreak. So within a couple of days. With genital herpes, I don't know exactly when I got it. We were intimate for a total of 6 weeks before I had my first outbreak. So I'm not sure when that actually appeared, if it was, day one of being intimate or 6 weeks later of being intimate. I'm not sure. How do you know you got it from him then? Can't it live in your system for a long time? Great question. So for HSV1, you're absolutely right. I had never been tested for herpes at that point in my life. I've grown up with family members that have HSV1, so I very well could have gotten HSV1 from a family member or things of that nature. However, the person that I believe I got it from did kiss me with an active cold sore, and then a couple of days later, I did get one. My first one. So that's pretty, you could say, well, maybe, but it's probably pretty sure. As far as genital herpes, I was tested. I had an IgG blood test that week, like before sleeping with him, I had an IgG blood test and it was negative. So before I slept with him, I had a negative herpes blood test. And then 6 weeks later, I had a swab and I was positive. So I did not have the antibodies for it 6 weeks prior. So you're right. You're absolutely right. In most cases, we do not know where we got it from. It can be dormant in our systems for weeks, months, decades. So most people aren't getting tested for herpes, and most people aren't getting tested like right before they sleep with somebody. And so most of the time it's like, I don't know. It could have been a couple of people. It could have been years. I don't know. Like my past partner, he doesn't know where he got it from because he'd never been tested for it. Could have been day one, could have been recently, who knows, right? So that's how I know. But you're right, it's not 100% sure. That's the thing with herpes too. We don't always know. It's so common, and people ask me about being a mom. Do you kiss your child? Yes, I do. Do I share with my child? Yes, I do. Because I can't prevent him from coming into contact with it, from picking up someone's juice box at school, from having someone kiss him, from having another relative that has herpes share his or her water with him. I can't prevent every single little thing. So why should I penalize myself or make myself the sacrificial lamb and feel like I can't be a mom and can't do those normal things when he's going to be exposed to it? Which type do I have? I have HSV1 oral and HSV2 genital. Guys, thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the follows. I see that you guys have done that. Like I said, I'm doing this to help support people living with herpes. I go live. My videographer is going to laugh. I try to go live every day. Stuart, if you're watching, I try. But sometimes life gets in the way with being a mommy, and I'm working on my master's, and I'm also trying to run the Life with Herpes business. I also have a jewelry business. So I do my very best to go live as often as possible and answer these questions. And that's why I'm here. So if you definitely need the extra support or know someone that has this, then definitely share my information with them. When did you experience this? I already answered that one. I already answered that one. How often do I get outbreaks? HSV1, I've had it for 20 years and I've gotten 4 outbreaks. My second outbreak was 14 years later. HSV2 is something I've definitely been challenged with. I go in, ups and downs. There's times when I'll get outbreak after outbreak after outbreak after outbreak. And there's times I've gone years without outbreaks, or I've gone months without them. Typically, when I get my genital outbreaks, it's an aha moment for me to reassess how I'm living my life. Am I fueling my body the right way? Am I getting plenty of sleep? Am I taking care of myself? Am I burning the candle from both ends? I also have hypothyroid, so sometimes it's like, oh, maybe my thyroid's acting up. So, are my adrenals shot? Or is the cortisol levels, are they high in my body? Things like that. And I try to monitor it. How long did I stop dating? Once I was diagnosed with herpes, I stayed with that guy for 2 years, and then I decided to start dating. So it took me 2 years. Did it affect my childbirth? I had a vaginal birth. What I did is I took the antiviral a couple of weeks prior to delivery. Did you go through a depressive state? Yes, I was an Eeyore, like Winnie the Pooh Eeyore. I was there for 2 years. I literally did not, I was dying on the vine. The light bulb wasn't on, whatever you want to say, for 2 years. And then I decided I'm turning 30. I can't waste any more time in my life. What happens if it's been a week and they haven't contacted you back? You mean the doctor? I would definitely call your doctor if your doctor hasn't called you back. Absolutely. Well, usually the symptoms are a week after. So yeah, usually the symptoms are 2 days to 12 days after your initial contact, but it can be dormant in your system. So you can only get it if you interact with them while they have an active sore? No, you can still get it while it is dormant or not visible. So my genital herpes outbreak or transmission, my partner didn't have any outbreaks. So it was basically via viral shedding. So the virus sheds and we don't know as the host. There's no itch, tingle, outbreak. So the virus does shed and we are contagious at that point. The problem is we just don't know when that is. Yeah, you're right. Not everyone manifests symptoms. Not everyone gets actual herpes outbreaks. You're right. And the prevalence of herpes simplex for HSV1, you're saying 47% in the US. I've also seen as high as 67% in the US. So I've seen mixed numbers. 2 out of 3 people have HSV1. Is the burning sensation a sign of an outbreak even if there's no physical outbreak? It possibly can. A burning sensation can be like a hot spot. It's like a nerve pain. Yeah, that can be a sensation. That can be a prodrome or a symptom. I don't know. I know who actually got it to me and she lied about it multiple times. I'm sorry. Is HSV antibodies good or bad? Like, does it help stop infection or outbreaks? No, it just means that you have it. It doesn't prevent it. I mean, if you already have it, you have it. If they tell you you have the antibodies for it, what does that mean? Then you are positive for herpes. If you have the antibodies for herpes, you are positive for herpes. You know where you got yours from. Yeah, you watch your YouTubes, they make you feel better. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. No, I was able to have a vaginal birth and my little boy is happy and healthy. You're telling me I was irresponsible and delusional? That is your personal thought of me, and that's completely fine. There's a lot of people that are responsible sexually active adults. I think that I was. And there's many people that are not responsible. There's many people that think like, I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to have that conversation. But that's cool. If you have that perception of me, that's totally fine. I don't really care. If you have those symptoms first, hold on, I lost it. Herpes simplex is the oldest human disease. I did not know that. That's awesome. I mean, not awesome. If you have symptoms, then you were infected recently if it's your first outbreak. Well, not necessarily. It still could have been dormant in your system. If you have HSV2 antibodies with no symptoms, what are the chances of passing it to your partner? I don't have an actual number. It's going to be lower than the person that gets actual outbreaks because you're most contagious during an outbreak, but you still are contagious with viral shedding. We just don't know how often you shed. When you had your first outbreak on HSV2, were your lesions big or small? I don't remember. It was just everywhere. I mean, they're all small, but they kind of like clump together and like boil. Let's see. If you have HSV2 antibodies with no symptoms, what are the chances of passing it to your partner? I just saw that question again. I don't know. It's going to be less, but I'm not sure of an actual percent. I don't have outbreaks, but I'm thinking about taking valcyclovir to prevent your partner. That could be, so according to the FDA, that's the best way to prevent transmission to a partner is by taking the antiviral. It lessens the transmission rate by 48%. What if you have HSV2 already and catch HSV1 during second try? Typically, if you have one type or the other, you're not going to pick up the second type. But it is possible, but most likely you're not going to. Again, that would be a great question for your doctor about being pregnant. I would just try to enjoy your pregnancy and not worry about contracting another HSV virus. Any support group chats anywhere? Yes, I have a support group. It's called the Secret Society. I have everything linked for you if you want to check it out. You can join. It is $15 a month. It is a private support group. We do 2 live calls a week. We have a live call Monday morning and a live call Monday evening with people from all over the world. It is, I think, the best support group ever. I've joined other chats and other support groups, and they're not as happy, I guess. They're still angry, and that's my goal. Let's get over this anger, and let's not be angry. Let's get through it. Let's move through it. God bless you for being so open. You're welcome. I have to go again, guys. I keep getting these phone calls that I have to answer. Anyways, I appreciate you for joining me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you soon. I love the hearts, and I'll see you soon Monday. Bye.